How's it going, folks? I'm Des with DesFit, and these are the new second generation AirPods Pro 2, and on the surface, they look pretty much identical to the previous generation. The previous generation AirPods Pro, these are already pretty great earbuds, and I love plenty of things about them, like the seamless connectivity between all my Apple devices, the active noise cancellation and transparency modes, as well as the call quality, which is pretty phenomenal. But I've always had a few reasons why these weren't my absolute go-tos when it comes to earbuds, and well, with the Apple AirPods Pro 2, these solve a lot of those issues, and it takes the previous generation AirPods Pro, which were good, to the AirPods Pro 2, which are great. So let's first start out with a case, and it's basically the exact same form factor as the previous generation. Even the silicone case that I was using for the previous generation just slips right onto the new one. There are a few upgrades with the new case though that make a pretty big difference for me. So the first is that there's now a little hole right here on the side where you can attach a little lanyard. So basically at this point I don't really need this little rubbery thing because that's why I bought it in the first place, was so I could attach it to something, but now I can just attach a handy lanyard to the second generation. The other feature that I like about the new case is that it now has a built-in speaker, so in case you lose it, you can actually play a sound. And this is super handy for me because oftentimes I'll put the earbuds in, then head out on a run or something like that, and then come back to my house after my run and I can't figure out where I put the case. But this goes one step even further. So let's say I take the earbuds out, place them on the counter, and then go and do something else for a bit and then forget where I put them. Well, you can actually play a sound on each of the earbuds in case you misplace them. Pretty awesome. And then they've also included a new U1 chip where you can precisely find these even with directional instructions, similar to what you can do with an AirTag. Now, those features are great and all, and weren't even features that I necessarily knew I needed until I had them, but I do find them super handy. But now let's get into the number one update that addresses probably my biggest gripe with the previous generation AirPods Pro 2, sound quality. The previous generation AirPods Pro, these were good, but not necessarily anything to write home about. They were very crisp and clear, and the clarity was also there, but they were lacking a lot, and I mean a lot on the low end, and they've really addressed that with the AirPods Pro 2, where with bass-heavy tracks especially, it's just a lot more rich and full, and the depth is there all the way from the lows all the way to the highs. I tend to listen to a lot of bass-heavy music like the Chainsmokers as well as Odessa, and the originals were okay, but it just wasn't a full, rich sound. With the AirPods Pro 2, these absolutely fill in those gaps, and for someone like me, they really fit the bill. Now, they still aren't quite as bass heavy as something like the Sony WF-1000XM4s or anything like that, but the Sonys are also much larger earbuds, and the Sonys just don't fit some folks. The AirPods Pro 2s are just as comfortable and lightweight as the originals. And I guess while we're on the subject of fit, let's talk about comfort and security. So for comfort, for my ears, I can barely even feel like I'm wearing them. I can almost forget that I'm even wearing them, especially if I have the transparency mode on, where the transparency mode is so good that it almost sounds like you just have music playing on a speaker in the background. And then for security, they're pretty decent where I can use these for everyday use without a problem, and they also work just fine for running, in the gym for weight training, as well as even road biking. Where I don't wear these though is for stuff like mountain biking, where there's just a bit too much jarring from the rough terrain, and the likelihood of them falling on my ears is just a little bit too much for my taste, especially in like a crash. Under normal riding conditions, it's not like they'll just fall out of my ears or anything like that, but I just prefer the security of something with a wingtip like the DesFit Pro or the Jaybird Vistas with that type of activity. And I do have in-depth reviews of the DesFit Pro as well as the Jaybird Vistas, which I'll have linked down in the description below. Oh, and they've also now included a new extra set of small silicone ear tips, so now there's 4 different sizes to choose from to customize your fit. And then in terms of water and sweat resistance, they've kept with the same IPX4 rating, so these are perfectly fine for sweat and stuff like that, and probably even some light rain, but these probably shouldn't be submerged. And then another new feature for me, and again, another big reason the original AirPods Pro weren't necessarily my first picks, is volume controls on the earbuds themselves. Sure, you could use Siri on the previous generation AirPods Pro to adjust the volume, but I found that to be kind of awkward, especially if I'm around other people. But now with the AirPods Pro 2, you can adjust the volume by sliding up or down on the force sensor on either earbud. In addition, of course, to the pause, playback, skipping tracks, as well as switching between ANC and transparency modes that also come on the original AirPods Pro. And speaking of noise cancellation, the active noise cancellation on the previous generation AirPods Pro 2 were already quite good, but they've taken that up a notch with the AirPods Pro 2, where they claim to have double the noise cancellation. I'm not exactly sure how to gauge double, I guess you could say, but are they better than the previous generation? Absolutely, in every environment that I tested them. And then in regards to transparency mode, again, the previous generation AirPods Pro, these were phenomenal. I'd argue some of the best on the market. Well, maybe were some of the best on the market because the AirPods Pro 2, it takes it up another level again, where these have a new adaptive transparency feature, where let's say you're at the gym or something like that and just doing your thing, and then suddenly someone slams down some weights and it makes a super loud and piercing sound. So what the AirPods Pro 2 can do is quickly, and I mean within milliseconds quickly, reduce the sudden increase in sound so that loud noise isn't piped into your ears as loud as it may have been with the previous generation. And then for wind reduction for sports like road biking, these do a really good job at eliminating wind noise up to around 15 miles an hour or so with both ANC as well as transparency mode. And this is the same as the previous generation. The only difference that I found is that with transparency mode, it does seem to do a slightly better job at reducing wind noise above 15 miles an hour. And then for some other features that come on the AirPods Pro 2 that you may find handy, they've also upgraded the skin detection sensor, so it's now more reliable in detecting if they're in your ears versus if you were to stick them in your pockets. They also have Bluetooth 5.3, and they've also managed to somehow improve upon the already great microphone quality of the previous generation for calls. And then another nice upgrade is the battery life, where it goes from 4.5 hours to 6 hours if you're using ANC, and then from 5 hours to 7 hours if you're not using ANC. And then the total battery life also has increased, including the charges on the case, from 24 hours to 34 hours. They've also added the ability to charge these using an Apple Watch charger, which can come in super handy, in addition, of course, to Lightning, Qi, or MagSafe. The elephant in the room, of course, is that, yes, they are still using Lightning for wired charging and not USB-C, which is kind of a bummer. So there's basically a lot of subtle but actually quite substantial upgrades with the AirPods Pro 2 that address a lot of my complaints with the previous generation. Don't get me wrong, I still really like my previous generation AirPods Pro quite a bit. I think they're great earbuds, but the AirPods Pro 2 really do take it up another level. But what's really great about the AirPods Pro 2 coming out is that the previous generation AirPods Pro, these have been discounted quite a bit. So if you're considering the latest generation regular AirPods versus the previous generation AirPods Pro, I would pick these up in a heartbeat. And I have some affiliate links in the description below where you can check out the latest pricing, and those are links that help support the channel without costing you anything additional. Anyhow, if you have any questions about the AirPods Pro 2 that I didn't cover in this video, make sure to leave those in the comment section down below. And if you found the information in this video useful, do me a favor and quickly hit that like button, and also subscribe to the channel for plenty more sports tech videos that are right around the corner. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.